Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got the LCS Proving Grounds continuing on with the round 2 of the losers bracket. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi, and we've got a wonderful day of games ahead of us. How you feeling today, Joshi?
I'm feeling good. I can't wait. It's been so long, it feels like, since we've last been on Proving Grounds, and I don't know if we've ever worked together. So, Twitch chat, you gotta give us some hype because this is gonna be a great day of games for the both of us.
It is. We get to go down a little bit of what we have ahead of us here. It's going to be very fun because first of all, we get to start off with the amateur bout between Resolve and AOE. One of those teams is going to have to bow out of the tournament today. And on the other side, the later round we have is going to be Immortals Academy taking on Evil Geniuses Academy, another knockout round.
It's all knockout rounds today, Mazel. We got a lot on the line for both these teams, and for some of them, that feels like they've already lived up their expectations. Some of them feel like they still have a long way to go, and it really comes down to how you're actually going to be performing today, because as you start getting further, the opponents get tougher and tougher, and every single win you pick up here just means you get that much farther, right? This is where you're playing not only for the prize money that's going to be coming in towards the end of the bracket, but also just the pride and showing all the scouts that you have what it takes to actually play in some of these academy and potentially even LCS rosters.
That's what I love. Talking to some of these players, get into the nitty gritty of that later on. But the theme is, right, being able to prove yourself. This is Proving Grounds. There are scouts watching. This is where you have to put up or shut up, right? And like, you don't want to bow out of a tournament this early, right? We're only in round 2. There's still a lot left to go, and you want to be a part of that story.
It is, and we also have to keep in mind that being knocked down into the loser's bracket doesn't mean you're out of the tournament, but it does mean that your journey is going to be twice as long. Every single time you're knocked down, every single round that happens in the upper bracket, you have to play 2 in the lower bracket just to get the same kind of placement. So all of these teams are going to have to play a lot more than they would otherwise want to, and the other half are going to be going home. So we'll see what kind of improvements proving they can make over the course of this tournament in order to stay up there.
As you see, we've got our theme nailed down here with the Proving Grounds, but I got to dive into this first matchup here. We got to bring up the rosters. We got to talk about these teams because it is Resolve versus AOE. Both these teams have so much left to prove in Proving Grounds, but especially with a lot of these names going into this, and especially with AOE just coming off of beating the heart of Amateur in Supernova.
It's definitely a big opportunity for both these teams, and I want to start with Resolve, partly because they are on the left side of my screen, and that's just how my notes work,
Left to
but
right,
also because it feels like a lot of people have been eyeing this team with a lot of confusion, right? It's been so hard to figure out how strong this team actually is. They weren't necessarily able to do super great in all the Tier 2 tournaments, and then they beat Cloud9 Academy, the team that just lost to Team Liquid in Academy in a 5-game series, right? Like, this is very clearly a team that has some very high highs and sometimes isn't quite able to live up to that. And I think right now, based on how they were playing yesterday against Wildcard Red, they had moments where they could really come out ahead. But today, they're going to be going up against AOE, who, let's face it, it's not Wildcard Red.
It's not Wildcard Red for sure. I feel like I want to base down a little bit more of the general principles here, especially with both these teams going into it. I like that you were talking about Resolve a little bit because I do think that it's really interesting, their journey to this point, and the fact that it requires all pieces to be moving together, right, for Resolve to function. I feel like they rely on that a lot more, as well as a team chemistry, at least. On the other side, you do have some of that, but it's a lot more of those individual outplays. It's those individual plays that will win them games.
It definitely feels like a very cohesive team in Resolve versus a little bit more of a chaotic team coming in from AOE. And to go back a little bit to how they were actually talking about how well they feel they've played so far, I had a chance to talk to a couple of players and also with their owner Riley, and it's interesting to see the dichotomy of what people are looking at. A lot of people from the outside looking in said, like, hey, this team has already done rather well, right? They're already improving grounds. They've already proven themselves with a team that is a lot of rookies, a lot of people who are relatively new. And Riley's like, yeah, we think that we are very happy with this roster that we put together. But the players themselves feel like they still have a lot more to prove and feel like they should be going further in this tournament. The next step is taking down Resolve.
That is the next step. We will be seeing the first step in this best of 3 series between Resolve and AOE. We got to step away before we get into the draft, though. We're going to take a small little break. But on the other side, draft for game number 1 coming up. Welcome back, everyone, to the LCS Summer Proving Grounds round number 2 losers bracket matchup between Resolve and AOE. Again, I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi.
Woo.
And we've got a little bit of a table to set here because we have a very, very pressure-filled matchup going on between Resolve, between AOE, both these teams putting everything on the line tonight, one of them going home. And we got to talk a little bit about the journey we've gotten to this point with Joshi.
We do, and let's go ahead and start with AOE since we've been talking about Resolve quite a bit. They have honestly not had a chance to play any of the Academy teams just quite yet, as they have been playing through Proving Grounds. We saw them play Supernova, we also saw them play Cloud9 Amateur, and now they're going to be going up against Resolve. But if they do win this one, they will be playing the winner of Evil Geniuses versus Immortals, which will, in fact, be their first opportunity to prove themselves against teams that they have not played against this entire split.
That's what's crazy to me is they've gotten to this point without playing an Academy team, with the Proving Grounds being a mesh of all the talent. But it must mean that much more to them to make that next step, to be able to go against one of those Academy teams, because, you know, they were able to take the unfortunate loss from C9 Amateur in 2-1 fashion, and go 2-1 over Supernova in their last game, which is a huge motivational point for them, a huge jumping off point for them, I feel like, into this series against Resolve, who have also had a very interesting run so far. A team that has played so much together and has so much synergy built up between them had a decent run through. They showed up strong with a 2-0 victory over C9 Academy, who you pointed out earlier, but then unfortunately losing to that wildcard red matchup 2-0. It's definitely a bounce back needed for Resolve.
And I feel like this kind of sets the table for one of the things that you were talking to APA about, where the difference between Academy and Amateur, last split, we were pretty confident that we were going to see a very competitive top end between the Academy and Amateur teams. And this time, APA is convinced that that doesn't really exist this split either, right? Wildcard Red, I don't think a lot of people were expecting them to necessarily be on par or necessarily better than some of the top Academy teams. So we definitely put them in like the same tier, not necessarily clearly above, but this is a situation where we are starting to see that when teams like Resolve, teams that we were expecting to have like middling expectations coming into Proving Grounds, they're taking down some of the top Academy teams already. So maybe Amateur and Academy are a lot closer. Does the gap really exist? At this point, probably not.
Hey, that's what we're here to find out in the Proving Grounds. Does that gap exist? How can we see these teams show up? And I'm just gonna throw it in there because we've been keeping up with the puns. How much Resolve does Resolve show in this losers bracket? I love the face. That means I'm on the right direction. But the other thing I need to talk about that is so important to me, at least for this series in general, is this jungle matchup between the two. We have such bright faces in the amateur scene of RBM versus Fnatic. And it's such a hype matchup that means so much for the series itself because these are two crucial ways that these teams love to play.
Yeah, and they play very differently in our eyes, right? We've been seeing that RBM yesterday, he brought out the Kha'Zix, and it was fantastic, right? Seeing how effectively he was able to pop off was something that we are not necessarily seeing a lot of other teams play to, whereas Fnatic, he's been playing a lot of the Lee Sin and Trundle, things that are a little bit more supportive for his team, things that are going to be much more enabling for everybody else on this roster in order to find advantages, where, again, RBM, he plays for himself. He's not necessarily ganking his lanes so much as his lanes are ganking for him.
Yeah. I think that's the crucial difference between the two. And I think that is what matters the most when you're looking at early playstyles for these teams where we're seeing that kind of success come down to. And on the side of RBM, how much show power can you show up with against this sturdy team of Resolve who does like to play together and synergizes so well together? And a crucial piece to that jungle matchup is going to be the mid lane between APA and Darkwings. As we get into draft here very shortly, we've got to look at how crucial those picks are going to be early on.
One of the things that we have to know about Resolve, is it does look like some of our graphics are on the wrong side, but APA is the one that is going to be one of the very few mid laners that actually still plays Ziggs in the mid lane, right? In an era where it is predominantly being played in the bottom lane, and it's kind of a known thing where you're going to be able to push out the lane, you just wait and you scale. APA is about the only mid laner that actually plays it, and it brings all the same strengths, but it also has a couple more weaknesses because it's a little bit more easy to attack. But as we've already seen, APA just feels like he does more damage with the Ziggs than everybody else. Just seeing him kill people like the Redacted yesterday, absolutely crazy, as we see our Camille, the first pick, locked in for Faisal.
Yeah, I'm just going to add one little point to that mid lane matchup. I love it because I talked to both these mid laners because I really wanted to see what their mindsets were coming into this. Both of them, no big deal. They're going to take the easy dub today. So we'll see how that comes down in the draft. As you said, the first pick for AOE on that blue side of the Camille. It's responded to by Resolve on the red side with the Thresh Varus insta-lock.
And I like this quite a bit. Thresh is very strong with the failures taken off the table. Varus comes in at a close second for me in terms of what you want to actually be pairing with this Thresh. And it feels interesting. Traditional logic says that you would want to pick the Nautilus into the Thresh, because when Thresh goes for the windup with his death sentence, it roots him in place and it allows Nautilus to go for an easy hook, and he tends to do more damage. But what we've been seeing is that as players have gotten better, as people have explored the Thresh matchups more, it becomes harder and harder to actually counterpick this. Almost everything things like the Leona does can just be counteracted by Thresh with some on-point plays.
Yeah, I think that's a big pickup for Resolve in the terms of how they like to play, especially Winter getting on the roams, but also having such utility in the pick. The other side, you got kill, kill, kill so far. You're going in with the engage, and they will die.
Oh.
Dark Wings does also lock in the Ziggs. A little bit of flex potential there, but we still have that locked in for AOE.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Dark Wings has played it so far throughout Proving Grounds, but one of the things that I always like to say, and I know I get some funny looks from people in Twitch chat and on the internet, and even some of my friends are like, Josh, are you kind of crazy? Ziggs is one of the best divers in the game, right? And he doesn't do it with his body, but when you have something like Camille and Leona who are going to lock down a single target, it virtually guarantees that you're going to hit at least the outer edge of the Mega Inferno Bomb, and for a character like Vars, who's not going to have a Tom Kench on his team to eat him out and deny all that damage, you're guaranteed easily 500, 800, 1,000 damage onto a squishy member, and that could be at least as much as the Camille is going to be doing on their own.
Yeah, it's huge, and that goes with the kill, kill, kill strategy that AOE is going to be having. Also sticking with their name a little bit with Area of Effect, no big deal. Trundle is locked in with Resolve there as the third pick. I'm not the biggest fan of Trundle because I feel like it does require a huge amount of execution, but we'll see how Fnatic, unless it gets, traded somewhere else, see how Fnatic can do on that pick. I do want to dive into these second round of bans because I do think they're very important. We do have the Kha'Zix banned away by RBM, as well as the Azir is actually banned away by Dark Wings. And on the other side, we have Aurelion Sol banned away against APA, his tried and true. And then Jace also gets banned off the table.
The Jason and Aurelion Sol are both very clearly super targeted, right? I had a conversation with, I think it was Draxter not that long ago, where he says the stronger your team is, the more meta your bans end up becoming. Whereas if you perceive that they are a little bit better on certain champions to the point where it overrides the meta, you tend to see bans like the Aurelion Sol, like APA play, that nobody else plays, and the Jace for PC on instead. Resolve going to be finding themselves a very strong laning matchup, but one that can become a little bit of a liability depending on what jungler RBM goes for in the Gnar.
And I like this piece to the puzzle for Resolve. I think it's very important to get a lot of setup for the team fight for you, especially when you're going up against what you're going up against, because I do think they have a lot of kill pressure there. But with that being said, I do still feel like they need another carry source for Resolve, right? And they need to find something else that's going to be able to bolster them and have the damage to back up those peels and those things that are being able to be done by Resolve while AoE is trying to engage. It is the Graves, though.
It is the Graves. This is a champion that can dive Gnar very effectively, provided, of course, he is mini. So I like what AoE have done. They have a diverse damage profile already, and this allows Dark Wings to play pretty much whatever he wants. And the Syndra is going to be the answer. Very safe blind, very easy to play into almost anything you want. And the Silas would be a little bit surprising to me coming out from APA. He hasn't yet played it this Proving Grounds, and I feel like it only has an okay matchup at best. You can get bullied really hard early on, but the Syndra just allows AoE to be at locations first and really threaten all of the fog of war wherever Resolve try and come in from.
Ooh, it's going to be the Oregon locked in. So very, very heavy team fight potential there for Resolve. I also want to go back to the point that this is RBM's Graves as well. He's very, very nice to have in your first game at a best of 3, a little bit of confidence pick there. And I feel like AoE have set themselves up a lot for the direct damage, for the kill potential that they want, where on the other side, Resolve are relying on the team play, relying on what we set up for themselves, Joshi.
They are, and one of the things that I will criticize this composition a little bit for is they're light on what I call primary engage, right? This is your Malphite, your Nautilus, your Leona, things that are just like, hey, we're fighting now, and I'm going to press a button and the fight starts, right? They have a lot of what I call secondary engage. These are champions that are good at getting a fight going and making sure you get stuck in once the fight has already started. The Gnar is great at this. He's not the first one that he's going to be jumping in, but he can be very good if a fight has already started. Orianna, Varus kind of does a similar thing, and the Thresh, the Varus is really their only way to consistently get a fight started.
That's going to be a lot to ask of. This game one is going to require all the attention for both these teams. It's a kickoff of a knockout best of 3. We got to step away for just a small little break while we get ready for the game. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live here on the Summoner's Rift, the LCS Summer Proving Grounds losers bracket matchup between AOE and Resolve kicks off now.
Wow, I cannot follow you that. Let's go. It's our first game of the day, London. We got a lot going on, and AOE already coming out with a very aggressive start up here in the top lane. Now, I like seeing these early level 1 plays that come through, but as Resolve are kind of noticing that they're not seeing anybody else on the map, they feel a little more confident to actually go in and get a little bit more of their early vision. So AOE, they take a gamble, aren't necessarily going to be rewarded for it, but they're not really going to be losing a whole lot for it either. And I generally feel like this is very okay for AOE. They want to make sure that RBM has options to set some of the early game tempo, because as you and I discussed earlier, it could be really hard for teams to play up against Resolve later on if they don't have an early game plan, and RBM now has the freedom to set whatever plan he wants.
Exactly, and that's what I love about this so far is like they've played right into our plans, Joshi. Unless we just are really good at our research. It's just the fact that they're playing how they like to play, right? And I love to see that here in a best of 3 where you do need to prove yourself in the proving grounds, and the fact that you can see the aggression coming out from the side of AOE early because it fits their composition, it fits their style of play, and Resolve just trying to weather the storm, try to get to that point where they can team fight, where they feel comfortable to play.
And if they are able to get towards it, we've typically seen that they have been winning a lot of these later game team fights, partly because they're super coordinated, but also partly because they've been picking the Ornn, as a lot of people have brought up in discussions that we've had. It is a very strong later game scaling, as we see a bit of trading in the bottom lane that's just going to result in some health trade. But this time, instead of the Ornn, they have the Gnar, who is not a slouch in later game team fights, but unfortunately isn't going to be providing your team with just 5,000 free gold starting at level 13.
Yeah, true. Not the same. Not the same spice. Still a version of spice here. I do want to see how PCL can set up the team fights though, because you're looking at that AOE combo from Resolve. It is spicy, and you got to be real careful about the carries of AOE to really dodge out of those setups from Resolve, especially. And when you're looking at that setup, it's APA with those shockwaves on top of a Mega Gnar ulti that I'm looking at.
If you can get that set up, right? But I also worry that Resolve, because we touched on the fact that they don't have a lot of control over when fights start. That's mostly on AOE.
Yeah,
they also have to be very careful, right? Because either APA or Array is probably going to start the fight off, if not dead, then very low, in a very difficult spot for them to actually participate. Now, I also want to call attention to the fact that typically Gnar versus Camille is pretty decent early on in the game, but because Fnatic started topside at the red buff and path towards the bottom lane, PCL has to let this wave come in, and we're looking at Darkwings roaming top lane on a wave 4 dive.
Look at this as well, though. Winter is on the roam here to try and get something for the top lane, try to get a little pressure relief. They realize there could be something happening, and now it is a little bit more even. You have Darkwings going back to mid. RBM still looking for it, though. That sentence is not going to land from Winter, but good eyes from Resolve.
I really like this play coming out from Winter. They both had their supports back away, and it looks like Array and Sketchstream going to be happy to just bounce waves back and forth, but it does allow PCL to actually survive this early game. This was going to be a very devastating dive if Darkwings had committed to it. So both teams, I mean, we see an early game plan coming out from AOE, but it wasn't something that was strong enough, and I believe it's Smacks who said, if you don't have an early game plan against this team, you're going to be at a stylistic disadvantage. They only get a small CS lead for Faisal right now, but that's not enough to win you a game.
It's definitely not, but it's something to work towards. You do have Fnatic making his way up top this time as PCL does TP to the lane. If Fnatic's able to get anything, you also got to look on the map because RBM is coming back up to the top lane. He will be spotted out in the tri-bush if he decides to walk over there. Does get pinged out as well, but it looks like PCL is just trying to set the bait here.
Neither jungler committing towards the top side, but look at this, Zyko still up in the top lane. Like, supports have just been leaving this bottom lane to its own devices. Fnatic going to be trying to clean up some of these Raptors, but Zyko is here potentially looking for a fight.
He goes for the flash, gets the Zenith Blade as well. Decent amount of damage. Oh, wow. What pillar placement there. Zyko is kind of stuck behind enemy lines here. Just kind of gives up his life as well. Winter is going to get PCL 4 into the fight at least. RBM is dead too. All of a sudden, off of RBM's aggressive play into the enemy jungle, they lose 2 lives.
Right, this is this coordination that a lot of people have been crediting crediting Resolve for. When they're on their game, they are so difficult to fight against because they just have more members. They have the better target selection. Notice that Winter didn't come back to participate in the kill onto Zyko. And up in the top lane, PCL he's now playing manaless champ against Faisal, who has absolutely no mana. It's manaless, but in a very different way, right? He just can't do anything because he has no abilities. PCL can shove it in, and this is a big lead for Resolve, and we've already noted how dangerous they're going to be later in the game.
And very detrimental to the way that AOE wants to play. We talked about it. They need to get off the ground running. They want to take the early game. They want to take control of the game. And that's not how you do it, giving it a couple kills over. And now Fnatic feels liberated to really get around the map and be influential. We do have a dragon on the map. We'll see what happens with that. But here is a replay. Nicely done by observers, by the way. No big deal. But we get to see those two bloods going down.
It's just a matter of being a little bit overconfident with your ability to play this, right? PCL is the first one on the rotation. They think that they can go for this fight, but when you're playing this kind of game, you have to be on the same page for all these plays. RBM didn't look like he was ready to commit to that fight, and Zyko said, hey, we're going, and RBM's like, you're going. I'm going to chill out over here. Unfortunately, it took him a bit too long to leave, and they give over 2 kills instead of just the 1, but Resolve, now they have to be very careful because they expended a lot in order to actually pick that up. Fnatic has no flash, and he's potentially attackable soon.
He is. They will start up the dragon down there after having priority in the bot lane. It will help them secure that one. Ooh, Flash actually comes out of PCL, realizing what was about to go down.
Yeah, there's a very standard thing for everybody who's very curious about that. Gnar uses that ultimate in order to push the wave quite a bit. Unfortunately, he was not ready for the counter engage from Faisal. He didn't catch Faisal, he didn't get the stun down, and so they didn't have the damage for any of that. And knowing that RBM is spending a lot of time top lane, doesn't want to give over anything. So I like the sequence from PCL, I just think he missed out on the ultimate.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, but we'll see if he can get some redemption plays a little bit later on. RBM is taking another aggressive stance here, going for an invade on the red side of Fnatic. Fnatic is not going to go up there just yet. I thought maybe they were going to path across mid and try to catch him out if they knew he was there. Just going to get it back off for the side of Resolve.
Okay, we got Winter up in the top lane once again. Lots of people here. Faisal's around.
Dark Passage is going to get ECL back into the fight. And RBM just has to turn tail and run. The TP is committed as well. And that's a huge commit from Sketchstreams up to the top side.
It feels like AOE have general ideas of how they want to play this early game, right? RBM camps top, you look to dive PCL over and over, but Resolve have very specific ideas of how they want to keep him safe. We're going to rotate Winter up at this time. We're going to move him up so that he doesn't get dove. And this is proving super, super effective because AOE are going for all these half measures.
That is unfortunate as well. Things kind of turning to catastrophe here for AOE. Early flash burn by Sketchstream.
Super responsive once again. Resolve. This is what people are saying, right? You need to have an early game plan against them because Resolve are just so proactive. And I feel like part of this comes down to the fact that they've been feeling very confident recently. We asked them, how come it's so hard to rank you guys? And they said, well, Winter said, earlier we were playing without trust in ourselves. We didn't have the confidence, but now that they've found that again, they're playing without expectations. They're playing one game at a time, and it looks like they have a plan for every single one of those games in the sequence. They're playing super confidently, and even though the gold lead is only about 500, that's still going to be super effective as this game continues to go later because they've managed to pick up both the Herald and the Mountain Dragon, so it should balloon here the next 5 minutes.
And if you do get a lead as Resolve, right, we've already talked about it. It's hard to play against Resolve as the game goes later. We know that from them. That's their style. They like to take control in the late parts of the game. They have great decision-making. But you give that lead early to them, it's that much harder to fight for these objectives because of the team comp that they have, right? You get a decent lead on these, you're not able to step up into those moments.
One of the other things that I would like to highlight right now is we kind of highlighted these two teams as one that is a super coordinated, super synergistic composition in Resolve, and AOE is a little bit more focused on individual clutch plays and finding some of these big wins. And we did see Faisal, because of all the attention being paid to his lane earlier from RBM, he did have a much larger CS lead earlier. And in the mid lane, APA has kind of been bullied around a little bit as well. And as we would kind of expect, Syndra has a big advantage in that her Q doesn't root her in place, so she can Q and then move and dodge away from a lot of things that Orianna does all at once. And it's giving them a small advantage, but it's not necessarily ballooning into anything larger. And I feel like AoE's laners need to find a little bit of a larger advantage if they want to actually take this game and really find easy ways into it.
Yeah, there definitely is some paths for it, but they're not going to be easy to find. Sketch Dreams had to use the Mega Inferno Bomb on the wave just to try and get a little bit back from it. They had so much pressure down bot, so many plates taken as well with that Rift Herald.
What do you know?
Hextech Ultimatum with RBM on top of him. PCL's in some trouble, uses the bounce across, though. He doesn't have the health bar, and RBM takes him out with the collateral damage.
Nice. I really like this play from AoE to get something back on the map, and we just saw them lose 3 plates in the bottom lane due to the Rift Herald. They're going to be getting at least 2 here up in the top lane and a kill, so this ends up neutralizing a lot of what we saw Resolve build up early, but now they know where jungler is. They're going to go for a dive.
Sketchstreams got baited. Oh, he was left all alone, so you got Darkwings TPing in, but Sketchstreams is already dead. He trades 1, and now Darkwings goes for it. Doesn't get the Scatter of the Week onto Array. Enough damage to trade something back for AoE. They're sticking in it.
Winter taking a lot of turret shots. Darkwings thinks he can still find something more, but he doesn't have the ultimate available.
Oh no, RBM is caught. RBM is stuck in between in a sticky situation, at least as the top side. He's going to be able to get away. APA does have the shockwave available, and RBM knows, but he gets out the side. Beautifully done.
Okay, everybody dying, everybody backing away right in time for Dragon. It's going to be a couple of seconds late, so they're not going to necessarily control the choke points as well as they might want to initially. But everybody's going to be backing away. Everybody's going to be spending their gold in time to actually come down for this Dragon. And we got to pay attention to who has the spikes already.
And talk about those spikes. I want to talk about some item completions here. Yumu's first item for RBM. I love it. And then you have the Divine Sunder spike for Fnatic. That is huge when we're talking about going into this Dragon fight.
Faisal also very close to Divine Thunderer of his own. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on this item not being as good as a lot of people think it is, but he does almost have it completed. But it also looks like AoE are going to be sacrificing this. They aren't playing for the Dragon whatsoever. Sketchstreams is already up here in the top lane, and we saw a couple of plates ticking down. Only 2 left in the top lane turret, so this push could very easily result in a turret take coming in for AoE.
And Sketchstreams does have the TP coming up very shortly, so the play I'm guessing would be to try and take this tower, maybe try to get back bot lane, but there's a lot of pressure happening in bot lane right now over there, and we'll see if that play does resolve in anything here as Resolve are moving forward. That's a nice little flay. Zyko goes right back into it, and RBM's doing tons of damage. The Dark Passage gets Fnatic out, but TP has been used by Faisal. Collateral damage not enough. Faisal can't get over the edge. He flashes, still can't get it. Hextech Ultimatum will secure the kill, though, and you get another TP from Sketchstreams. AoE have shown up in force, and Resolve can't handle it. Mega Inferno Bomb just to put the cherry on top, but AoE are going to take the lead.
The punch and counter punch are starting to go a little bit back in AoE's favor. They get the top lane turret, and then they stop the dive in the bottom lane. We are seeing that Resolve, again, it looks like they are typically something we praise them. On the days that they're good, they look super coordinated for these dives, but right now, they're going in a little bit separated, right? Array's not able to hit for this entire fight, and even though Fnatic is around, doesn't have an ultimate available, can't steal all the resistances from Zyko to become insanely tanky, and so Faisal, even though this takes a little bit longer than it probably ought to have, he's able to get so far past that there's no opportunity for them to turn on to him, and instead, all of the members of Resolve just kind of get run down, and PCL can't do anything.
And maybe that synergy coming to bite Resolve a little bit too much. They were so committed on trying to save Fnatic, they got stretched out along that entirety of that area, and AoE were able to come cut them in the middle right there. So very good play calling from AoE here to get themselves back in a driving position early on in the game. They did lose that second Dragon, so Dragon stacking, not the way they're going so far, but you can always turn that around. There's so much to be said for these kinds of leads that you're developing. And I'm just going to point out, that Yumu's start, RBM is doing some serious damage right now, Joshi. Ooh,
oh,
we got
yeah,
mid lane,
really
though.
good.
Oh, no, APA. Okay, that
He's okay.
Yumu's
He's
is
okay.
not going to come out. He's okay. He's going to make it. He's got Winter just holding him right there. He's got his hand on his back.
I really do like this Youmu's coming out from Graves. We can talk about it a little bit more later because it does do a ton of damage. It's relatively cheap, just how this item used to be. But the big thing that we got to pay attention to now is how AoE plays around these dragons. Because a single mountain dragon, I mean, it's the best individual dragon to have statistically. And a cloud dragon, almost irrelevant for this team, to be entirely honest. But the point is, they are halfway to 4. We are all Jin on this blessed day. We are wanting to count to 4, but the thing we got to count is dragons. And AoE, if they can stop them halfway there, you know, this isn't horseshoes. This isn't hand grenades. That's not good enough. You gotta get the last 2 dragons, and AoE, as they start to become more and more powerful, as they start to actually contest these dragons and control these choke points, it's gonna be much more difficult for Resolve to do anything about it because they don't have the greatest engage tools like we touched on earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something we've got to keep an eye on as we go further on. I do also want to point out that Array has completed an Eclipse on the Varus. Appreciate that one. It's going to be interesting how those fights kind of turn out and how much damage he's able to pull off. Ooh, Death Sentence barely goes wide there for Winter. RBM using some confidence. Chains of Corruption comes out. He uses collateral damage to get some space. Zyko stops Fnatic, but RBM, you don't have a health bar anymore. And Fnatic picks up a kill. Can they get a second? A double for the Trundle. Faisal does go in, tries to get a little bit more. Sketchdreams flashes forward, and there's the 1v1 on the side. It's gonna be APA all day long, baby. Array is still here. Fnatic goes down. It is chaos across the board, and Array flashes away. One more auto would do it. No, it's the piercing arrow that's gonna pierce Faisal's heart. Jeez, that fight
absolutely
was insane.
Nuts fight. All over the place. So we're gonna have to look at a replay because I was just watching APA's duel with Darkwings that entire time, and dodging almost every single ability gives him a win in a disadvantageous position. And PCL this entire time, he's not there. He's just taking this turret. They're gonna find it, but it all starts off right with just this Chain of Corruption. The only way they can consistently get these fights started, RBM gets caught. Yes, he's got a lot of movement speed, but he doesn't have any dashes left. He can't get out, and Trundle is going to be able to get enough damage through. And ultimately, because this fight is so chaotic, I would typically look at this kind of thing being something that's good for AoE, but they're just not able to outfight. They're not able to use the terrain to their advantage as consistently. And Faisal, he's very strong at this point with an item completion, but he's just getting outranged by so many members coming in. Array keeps his distance perfectly, and Faisal can't kill him.
I just got to shout out one last time that it feels so bad for Darkwings there. He got the jump on APA on the start of that fight. Then it turned into that 1v1. And Darkwings just uses everything and is only left with auto attacks while APA has his full kit still available to. It feels bad. It was so close yet so far. But it turns Resolve around here. Now they're looking at their 3rd dragon of the game.
And they're here way earlier, right? Darkwings is not going to be able to contest for this. They're trying to get a counter push in mid.
Corruption connected again. Winter goes in, but he gets Solar Flared right up, and Zyko is there to follow it up. He might need to get away, though. A lot of damage coming from Array and PCL there, but it's still a dragon pickup for Resolve.
PCL creep blocked a little bit there. That could have been a lot worse for AoE, but this is what we're saying, right? AoE need to be able to start contesting these dragons. Ocean Soul is insane for Resolve in this game if they can pick it up. And now, Winter charging ahead with APA looking for a potential fight onto Faisal.
APA a little bit caught there. Takes some damage. Not a lot, though. They were going to potentially, if he was a little bit overextended, go for that one, but it is the backup from Resolve that signals not to go for that. APA just taking a pretty aggressive path away there. Luckily, he was on the right timing, though. It's all calm, cool, and calculated.
He's all cool. He's not worried about it whatsoever, but this is an opportunity right now. There should be a mid lane turret going down. You got a Herald, you got a Ziggs. Both these things are great for taking down all these structures. And as they continue to push through, we'll see if they're able to get a crash onto another turret, or if it's just going to end here with the first one. Doesn't look like they feel strong enough to go for the continued push, and PCL filling off on the side, but not going to be committing to try and find a fight yet.
Cheeky little Chains of Corruption there from Array, just in case Sketchtrees want to step up with the satchel, just in case. But it's not going to find it. Now we are going to turn our attention towards the top side where Resolve is fighting for vision, at least trying to get set up around the Baron pit here just to make sure they have vision around there. But they've, still in the deficit here. And that's something I can applaud AOE for, is they've been able to keep themselves in the game. It's not that early advantage that we wanted. They have been losing some pressure around the map, but they still have kill potential, and they still have what they set out with in their composition. It's kill, kill, kill.
Kill, kill, kill. They are slightly behind in kills, though, right now. But the big thing that you got to pay attention to, again, is where those kills are going. It looks like PCL building towards an old Black Cleaver. That is, in fact, his own Divine Sunderer. Again, got thoughts about this item. I don't think it's as good as a lot of people are making it out to be, but it is the choice that they are going to be making here, giving you the extra on-hit damage. And now Faisal, very strong relative to PCL, looking for an opportunity to jump on him.
He's just going to go for the Hextech Ultimatum. The poor bounce doesn't get him out. Faisal under tower, taking a lot of damage there. PCL is going to have the Magnar as well on the backside. The Magnar ulti, is he going to turn it around? Oh, he steps out of the Mega Inferno Bomb, though. No help today, but Faisal survived.
Oh gosh, man, it's just a testament to how far ahead Faisal is at this point, that the fact that he misses the hook shot on the wall doesn't result in him dying, right?
Yeah.
He has got so much more money than Nar at this point. Nar doesn't have the Divine Cinder completed, so he's not able to find the kill, but if that's what we're looking at later on, that's one of the big ways that Resolve stays in this game, is if Faisal can't continue to push around the Gnar, because this is when Camille's supposed to get stronger and stronger and supposed to start outpacing the Gnar. This is why this matchup gets picked a lot, because typically it's not great for Camille in lane, but this is a spot where PCL showing his resiliency.
He definitely is. And something else, you've got to give it up for the resiliency Resolve has shown in this game, right? They have been at a deficit, but they've been able to get these objectives, kind of like what I was talking about with AOE, where they are still able to find things even though they're losing objectives. So both these teams still putting up the good fight here. The only thing that I'm worried about is you're on a timer at this point for this soul, for the Elder Dragon to start spawning for Resolve. And they've had very, very good objective control so far so long. And they're getting to those 2 item spikes. And it's very scary, as we highlighted earlier, to take into those fights.
Okay, PCL just went mini. He's got a lot of members of AOE.
Oh, no. Yeah, he does. He's going to be taken out. There's a shotgun. There's a lady with blades for legs and somebody who's just going to blind you all day long. Faisal does take the kill.
It's going to be an easy one right there. 4th kill of the game coming out for Faisal. And luckily for Resolve, it is far enough ahead of this dragon that PCL is going to be up. He won't have his flash for the reposition during the fights, but he will have his life. He should have enough time to build up a Gnar bar, so Resolve can still look to play for this, but it is going to be putting them on the back foot for a little while. Will likely lose a lot of their Baron vision, and I don't think there's a lot to say here. He's unfortunately just got too many people, right? Faisal is here. This is already a bad spot, and then you realize, oh, here. Well,
there's more.
There's more.
Oh, man.
It's like a bad game show. But
It
wait,
really
there's
is.
more! What's behind door number 2?
Oh no, it's just somebody else
It's a
beating
grave.
you up. That's terrible. That sounds like an awful game show. Don't ever sign me up for that one. We do have 40 seconds or so. This is huge for AOE. They've got to stop this dragon stacking from Resolve. They've got to stop this Ocean Soul for Resolve.
See what they can do. We are going to see they have to fight for this mid priority here in a second, but they're already getting a push in the bottom lane for AOE and a push in the top lane for Resolve, and whoever can control these chokes will be in a huge advantage. Darkwings can be the first one to get the push in the mid lane, and that's going to be helping them out quite a bit, because they will force Resolve to give up a little bit of position for this dragon. But it doesn't look like they're actually pushing for it. PCL does almost have a bar ready, so we're going to see this poke war evolve between Varus and Ziggs, and Ziggs usually wins that.
Faisal is slowly but surely trying to get a little bit of flank here. Oh my god, but the scout of the week back. Solar Flare is extinguished. So Zyko doesn't have a huge engage for AOE.
RBM.
Now they're going to find RBM on the side. Faisal's just like, peace out, see you later. RBM is down.
Wow, that was actually crazy. Okay, there's still an opportunity for a fight. Lots of ultimates are already expended, so we'll see how Faisal wants to play this. They just need to wait for PCL to lose the rage, and now we're going to get a fight, but there's no smite for AoE.
There's no smite. It's so difficult here. Zyko just goes in. We got Dark Wings in there as well, but it doesn't matter. It's so split. The smite comes out. The soul is taken, and Resolve are going to show forth as Dark Wings has to run away. Zyko is running for his life. Nice scat of the week back. But it does not matter. You've already lost the objective, and that's 4 straight dragons for Resolve. And Darkwings is definitely going to die.
Yep. Winter gonna... Oh, not going to land the death sentence.
He's too good. APA wants it. He's like, I don't know if I should chase that one.
All right, okay. Good job, Darkwings, getting out of that one alive. But at this point, Resolve, even though the gold lead is basically nothing, I've had a lot of conversations. People's like, how much of a gold lead do you need to have to be even against a team with a soul? And most of the time, I've been hearing answers ranging from 4,000 to 6,000, right? Valuing this soul at about 4,000 to 6,000 gold. This is a lot of money, and it really comes down to the fact that AoE are a little bit split here. It doesn't look like they have an immediate plan. Like RBM just ends up getting caught. You saw that Sketchstream just kind of got caught from the shockwave. They aren't in a spot where they're necessarily getting quote-unquote engaged upon. They're just standing too far forward, and it's going to be resulting in Resolve finding an opportunity for these fights. And with no smite available, you have to try and burst Fnatic before the dragon goes down, and unfortunately, they're just not able to do that.
Yeah, Zenith Blade doesn't connect. They just try, but he's just waiting for the health bar there, knowing there's nobody else that can smite it. It's almost impossible to take. And unfortunately there for RBM, he just kind of steps up into PCL, who had that Mega Gnar bar full and ready to go. Faisal was on the side, so I'm wondering what the communication was there, if RBM thought maybe they were going to try to go for something. But that's that kind of communication that rings true for Resolve, where we need to see that kind of pick up for AOE.
Yeah, this game, it's not over just quite yet coming out for AOE. They still have Ziggs, they still have Cinder.
They're in the gold lead still.
Yeah, they still have a gold lead, but against an Ocean Soul, they're not going to be winning a lot of fights. They have to be winning a lot of these picks. They have to be looking for ways to play the side lanes, and they can stall out the game quite a bit, right? They have a lot of wave clear that they can play with. Graves, Ziggs, Syndra all do a great job here, and in 4 minutes they can flip from an Elder Dragon, and that's not a lot of time for Resolve to clear out this entire game, right? And clear out all of the turrets they have yet to pick up. So it's a very tough spot for AOE, and Resolve, we know, gets stronger and stronger, but every single game, Elder's the great equalizer. You can be down this far, and it's not going to matter if AOE are able to pick it up. So I feel like Resolve now have to show why we've been praising them for their later games.
You've got to show that concise play in the later parts, especially when you're going up against a split-pushing Faisal on the Camille, who is so strong. You also, one thing I want to point out now is that Eclipse has been completed for RBM, so he's on a pretty big spike now as well in the 2-item spike for Graves. So I want to see how they utilize that here. You do have a Baron up. I'm not necessarily saying that Baron is on the table right now, but a bait potential is there if they want to try to take a play, if they want to try to use the spike. But it's so hard, as we've said over and over again, to go up against this team fight against Resolve.
I feel like we saw a couple times earlier where both Zyko and RBM going down bottom lane in order to try and push PCL around and find a couple of kills, and they did get it earlier, but it wasn't in a position where Resolve were yet ready to start hitting this Baron. Now, we also have to note that this Baron that they're doing is not super quickly, but it is super healthy, right? They have the Ocean Dragon, which procs against the Baron, and that does mean that basically everybody's going to be full health the entire time that they're doing it. But even if they go down for PCL and they do it with a couple of teleports, like if it's Darkwings and Sketch Dreams that go down there, it's possible that they just kill PCL outright and then have an opportunity to teleport to prevent the Baron take from actually going through. And instead, who needs that?
Yeah, and I love that little play there, using APA to scout out the bush, just make sure have the Dark Passage there available for Winter. They're starting it up, and you do have the members of AOE around this corner, right? You don't have Faisal here. He does have TP available to him, but Resolve, no. This is what they've been baiting the entire time, and RBM has sprung the trap, and he's dead.
Oh no, RBM going to be in a very bad spot. Good luck. It stops a lot of the damage coming through. And PCL not going to find anything there, but
use it.
He just wanted to use it. He wants to be part of this team fight too. I'm a little bit surprised they're not hitting this Baron just quite yet. It feels like a situation where they could try with all the ultimates already down from
their
AOE.
mid lane.
I'll do something. What are you up to, Resolve?
I know. I mean, they had the play there, but now Resolve are getting punished here with a decent amount of damage done by Faisal in the mid lane.
Okay. Well, RBM is still dead, and Resolve can come out. It's going to take RBM a little bit too long to get to the Baron right away, but hey, we've chewed up 3 minutes of the Elder Dragon timer, and now we're looking at another situation where we're going to be flipping a dragon off the smite. We changed this a long time ago. The level difference doesn't matter between the junglers. They both do 900 damage with their smites, and Ziggs does quite a bit. Varus can do a lot. The Shockwave can steal this dragon, right? There's a lot of options for both these teams to try and burst out the Elder, so I feel like we're realistically looking at a flip if Resolve can't protect the dragon.
It's going to be really difficult here. I do want to say that it looks a little bit more dicey for the side of AOE when you're coming into this. Things have now evened up in the gold. That 1,000 gold lead is no longer in AOE's favor. But a pick like this is how you change the game, how you change it all around. And PCL having no Mega Gnar bar just goes down to RBM. That is huge for the setup.
Yeah, 20 seconds left until the Elder Dragon. This is a huge win coming out from AOE. Now they're the ones who are going to be threatening this, but AOE and Resolve don't have to handshake this fight over the Elder Dragon. Resolve can choose to just go hit the Baron, but instead they're looking to try and contest this. They want to take this coin flip.
They want to fight it. You had the TP from Sketch Dreams to the other side of the map just to make sure he didn't have to walk through any trouble. Zyko goes in, misses though. as the shockwave is going to connect onto him. Zyko's dead. There's a main frontliner. Collateral damage goes out from RBM, but not going to find anything there. The Dragon is still started up by AOE. It is an even fight right now. 4v4. Faisal goes in, finds APA, goes golden to buy some time. Scatter the Weak comes out, but Faisal's in some trouble here. Now you got the TP coming for PCL, and it's an uneven fight now because Zyko is still dead and has no way to join the fight. This is a big turning moment for Resolve. The Dragon's still under pressure here. 6,000 health is the Elder Dragon.
Oh, boy.
Big damage from Dark Wings. RBM waiting over the side. This is it. This is a big moment for RBM. Can he show off his skills? PCL's going to have the Mega Gnar ult, though, and you've got to be careful of it. RBM's in the pit, but he doesn't get it. Fnatic secures the Elder Dragon, and the fight goes to Resolve.
Wow, again, a crazy situation where Resolve are able to wait it out. Remember, this is what we're praising Resolve for, their ability to be on the same page for these fights. What we saw, AOE weren't on the same page. Faisal goes in, Zyko goes in, they go in at different times. It's not a coordinated team fight, and they don't end up using the Mega Inferno Bomb to its maximum effectiveness. Now APA can just chill around, blow up anybody who walks over it, and Resolve should finally be able to pick up this Elder Dragon, finally be able to pick up this Baron, and now with the Ocean Soul, the Baron buff, and the Elder Dragon, it should be almost impossible for AOE to try and bring this game back.
There goes the Baron. RBM is just here in the nick of time, but can't get into the pit. And that will be another big objective secured by Resolve. They've only lost one Rift Herald all game. That is how you dominate in a Summoner's Rift matchup there. They have completely controlled the map.
They've controlled the map, but it is still a kind of a dangerous situation. We can see this, right? Like, Faisal is not in this fight. Zyko just went in by themselves, and Resolve, they just know they need to wait. They know Gnar's coming up here in a couple of seconds. As long as this Dragon isn't at risk of being burned, they don't have to do anything. They are just willing to wait. They let Faisal come in, and look, Sketch Dreams can't do anything. RBM can't do anything. This Dragon doesn't go below 7,000 HP during this entire sequence of events, and Resolve happy to wait it out. AOE were the ones that needed to push the tempo. They weren't able to do so, and Resolve are going to be the big beneficiaries of this just because they're able to burst it faster.
RBM tries to get into the pit. I was waiting to see if PCL was going to wait with the Mega Gnar on the other side, but RBM does get into the pit just a little bit too late, and then PCL finds the beautiful engage with the Elder Dragon wings, and that's how you turn a fight.
All right, well, again, we do have to say there's a lot of work that Resolve still needs to do. They need to take down these structures. They are now pressuring both the mid lane and the bottom lane. PCL just backed away in order to try and deal with Faisal. He should finally be stronger again with the Elder Dragon, but it is a very dangerous spot for the rest of his team while he's not there without the teleport. Faisal can always come through looking for a flank, and with only about 10 seconds left on the Elder Dragon, it's going to be a real opportunity for AOE to try and find a fight.
Faisal has put on so much pressure in the side lanes. Honestly, this Camille has been so impressive to deal with, or scary to deal with, but impressive in its own right. And the fact that during this Baron push, you're still able to secure some global gold for yourselves. You still need to make sure you're crossing your T's, dotting your I's, getting back to the base, not losing any inhibs, but you've got to find those little moments to get something back. And I feel like Faisal has done a really incredible job at that this game.
Really has. Now AOE have done a good job as well. Oh, big shockwave. Not going to find a kill just quite yet, but they are stalling out both these major buffs, and now RBM going into a bad spot.
Oh man, Zyko, yeah, RBM's just dead. Zyko almost gets two-shot by Array, and they're just going to lose their towers. I said you can't lose your inhib towers. Well, they're losing two of them now, and they're also getting worked on at the top side by PCL.
In the last two waves, they come into a good spot. APA gets side on.
Faisal does find it. Fnatic looks for the re-engage there, but now you've got to deal with Array, and Array has some serious damage. Faisal's still strong, though. Faisal's still damaging, but he can't do it. He can't find the kills, and Zyko goes down as well. PCL has just been free pushing this entire time on the top side.
This is the last of the Baron buff. Are they going to be able to pick up this inhib? Do they get anything? Faisal goes in.
He does. He can't find it on Array, but Array still dies. That's going to be a kill going over to Sketch Dreams, and Resolve have to get out of base.
Okay, so let's keep track of everything Resolve were able to just pick up in this Baron. They were able to get 3 inhibitor turrets. They were able to get 3 inner turrets. They were able to get the outer turret from AOE's mid lane. So that's 7 turrets all at once, and suddenly a ballooning gold lead, 5,000 gold. They were down about 1,000 before this whole sequence started. Now they are firmly in control of everything, but they also have, with no inhibitors down, they have a minute and a half left to go before they have to flip for the Elder again.
And that's not a position you want to be in. You know how it went last time around. You just got to make sure you're all in the right position. You're all communicating so that catch-outs don't happen. One of the big things for AOE last time around was the catch-out, though, in the side lane onto PCL, and how can that influence them this time around? Can they find a catch like that early on and influence the fight? Because when you're taking a full 5v5, it is no longer even. The gold lead has gone fully into Resolve's favor.
We'll see. Now, I'm really curious how RBM ends up getting caught out here, because he goes in, he thinks he found Winter, and he does a lot of damage. Oh, he just gets caught by the chain of corruption.
He doesn't have
options. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. No good options, one rock, one hard place, and it does mean that 3 inhibitor turrets end up going down for Resolve. But they're a little bit split, right? They're not able to find a game-ending fight all at once. You find this, like, 2-man situation where Resolve kind of get caught out. Resolve try and bring everybody over, and they get a little bit back, but it's not necessarily the back-breaking situation where if they had picked up all of these inhibitors, this game would have absolutely been. So Resolve, very dominant position, and they're showing a lot of resiliency in the second half of this game. Now, they still have to do the last couple of steps in order to close it out. 30 seconds till Elder.
They do. Here's a catch-out, though. They have found RBM yet again. Feels like the name of the game. They can't get the kill this time around, though. PCL's looking for it onto Dark Wings. Almost gets the piercing arrow as well. That was super close. But Resolve get out with almost catching the entire team of AOE. Now they can turn back on their real prize, which is the second Elder Dragon of the game.
Remember, though, this isn't horseshoes or hand grenades. Almost is not good enough. Everybody is still alive now. They might try and find some of these people who just teleported.
They want to go for the picks? They just want to go for the picks. They don't care about
PCL!
it. PCL gets stunned back. PCL is going to go down. Sketch Dreams is on a rampage. Faisal finds AP on the side. AOE have turned it all the way around. Array is down as well. That's 3 back-to-back kills for AOE, who tie up the kills in the game and might be looking for more. Fnatic is taken out by Faisal here. Tons of damage from the Camille, but Fnatic's pretty strong in his own right. Going to take a decent amount of time. Slowly but surely, can he get it? Looks like Fnatic's going to make it away.
I can't believe the thing that we said in draft is going to come back to hurt Resolve this much. Remember what I said about this composition? It doesn't have control over when fights start. It doesn't have opportunities to get these fights started, so everybody with these secondary engage tools need to rely on AoE making mistakes, but when they don't make mistakes, they have to overextend in order to try and get these fights to happen. You saw PCL, how far forward he had to go. You saw APA flashing earlier to try and find RBM. The only reason why some of these fights have been going their way is because people on AoE have been standing on top of APA's shockwave, and suddenly when they don't do that, AoE is able to turn these fights around. They get the Elder Dragon, they get the Baron buff, and all of their inhibitors never died. So AoE, we just saw a huge situation of a gold lead coming out from Resolve. It's going to flip right on back there, right on back to even, and with the Elder Dragon and the Baron buff, AoE are now in the driver's seat for the first time in 30 minutes.
That's insane. We talked about earlier. They had one objective all game long. Now they just get back-to-back huge objectives in the Baron, in the second Elder Dragon. They have everything they can ask for now. Now it's all about execution. How can they take the next fights? How can they proceed here with their base shattered? And it's looking like a mid-lane play.
They have the tools, they have poke, they have the zigs, they have a lot of things that they can throw. They also have the engage tools. They're the ones who control when fights start. They have a minute left, a little bit more on this Elder Dragon, so they are very strong for a little while. PCL doesn't have a rage bar just quite yet, so AoE might just be looking to go.
They are going for the mid inhib here. They will take out the mid inhib and potentially proceed into the Nexus Tower, as this is huge. Resolve, they have shown so much strength all game long, but AoE has them on the ropes here with Baroned up minions, with an Elder Dragon force. They need to find something here. Resolve need to stick true to what we've seen them be able to do. Meganar is going to be popped. The Elder Dragon not going to go off there. You do still have a lot of tools available for Resolve, although the Shockwave and the Chains of Corruption are going to be down. The Meganar ulti is still there. One Nexus Tower falls, but AoE get caught. That's Dark Wings! Dark Wings! He doesn't get dead! Faisal is on the back here, and PCL gets out with a sliver of his life. How has this happened? AOE just get 2 drop.
Oh no, they never pulled the trigger.
The
Now
TP,
they're the ones who have to run.
TP.
TP bottom lane.
They're going for
It's
the
a base
end here.
race.
That's huge. You've got APA in the side lane with PCL down there. Double TP and AOE are frightened here. They need to find a response because they're about to get pushed into their base. RBM is going to make it out here. Baron up buffs are going to help them get back in time, but is it going to be enough? You've got the rest of Resolve pushing down mid lane as well.
Oh my god. Okay, this is a situation. You got 30 seconds left before Faisal and Sketch Dreams. Resolve are barreling down the mid lane. They have 3 members coming up, PCL and APA. They can't get too far ahead of the team, but they're already starting to hit this inhibitor. They won't have a bar from Gnar by the time this fight actually starts, and only 12 seconds left before Sketch Dream comes up. The Baron is still around. How is this game going to end?
They were knocking on the door of Resolve, but a Resolve say no way. They take it right back to the AOE base. They're wiping the floor with them, and Resolve takes game number 1.
Lennon, I don't know if I can take it. That was game 1 today. That was game 1 between these two teams. We saw Resolve had such a strong play. They were able to get all of the objectives, and then one misstep almost cost them the game. But they're still able to pull it out at the very end. Clutch hook coming in from Winter. They find the engage they needed, and that was without the shockwave. That was without the bar coming in from Gnar. They were able to find these teamfight wins even without all the resources they normally need.
I've lost for words here. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. This is proving grounds. This is the moment to show up. They were both so close to winning this game. The fact that AOE stuck in it, and we're literally one Nexus tower from open hitting the Nexus of Resolve, and then just one fight later, it's all said and done and Resolve win it. I can't wait. We've still got a long day of games ahead of us, but this is a heck of a way to start us off, Joshi. Now, it's been a fun one. We got to take a little break here. We're going to step away. We'll be right back with game number 2.